Welcome to Bahrain International Circuit and the opening weekend of the third season of the GP2 Championship here on Speed. Hello everybody, I'm Bob Barsha with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett. GP2 is the primary feeder series to Formula One. Its graduates have also gone on to touring cars and sports cars. We have a great field this year, 26 cars from 13 teams. Fully half of this series is rookie. 15 nationalities represented. So who will contend for the 2007 GP2 Championship? Well, here's an early season preview of the drivers we think will contend. With the top two finishers in last year's GP2 Championship, Lewis Hamilton and Nelson Piquet Jr. having graduated to Formula One, and third place finisher Alex Premat making the jump to the DTM. Fourth place finisher Timo Glock finds himself in a good position this season. Glock returns to the iSport squad, with which he ran 12 races in 2006. Glock scored points in 10 of those races, with 2 wins, 5 podium finishes, and 3 front row starts. This past winter, the ex-Formula One and Champ Car driver was named a test driver for the BMW Sauber F1 squad. If Glock can start the season strongly, he may be tough to catch down the stretch.
Glock's teammate, Andreas Zuber, is another driver to watch. Last season, the young Austrian struggled with the newly formed Trident team early on, but as the year progressed, his form improved and he scored his maiden win in Turkey. Zuber was fast all winter in testing, but to take the next step, he must first defeat his more experienced teammate.
Nicolas Lapierre begins his third full season as a GP2 driver. And if he wants to remain in the hunt for a Formula One drive, it would help to reprise his championship-winning form in the A1 GP series last year for Team France. He'll also have to hope his Dams team will improve over last year's dismal season.
One of the most experienced GP2 stars, and one who should factor into the championship, is Giorgio Pantano. The Italian has Formula One, Champ Car, IndyCar, and F3000 experience under his belt. And last season, he claimed 3 wins, including both rounds at his home track in Monza. To return to the pinnacle of motorsport, he must not only win the championship in '07, he must dominate it.
There are plenty of dark horses in this year's field. Look for returning drivers such as Luca Di Grassi and Zandy Negrão to stand on several podiums and possibly take a win or two. Former Formula One drivers Antonio Pizzonia and Sakon Yamamoto should be quick. However, both men are new to the series, so a win may be out of reach for now. Look for several young drivers to shake up the established order as well. Williams test driver Kazuki Nakajima has shown good form in the winter, and South African driver Adrian Zhao has proven that he can win in A1 GP.
Finally, Michael Ammermuller begins his second season in GP2, but this year he moves from Arden International to the 2-time defending driver and team champions from ART Grand Prix. Michael will be looking to improve on his 1 win and 3 podium finishes of a year ago, while pulling double duty as the Red Bull team's test driver in F1. With ART and Red Bull behind him, Ammermuller has all the tools to win the championship and will enter the opening weekend in Bahrain as the pre-season favourite.
Well, that's how we think the season will shape up, but with a field made up half of rookies, there's no telling what might happen. Get ready for some of the best open-wheel racing you'll see anywhere. We'll be back in a moment to set the grid and turn them loose. GP2 Bahrain. Welcome back to Bahrain for the opening weekend of the GP2 Championship here on Speed. There you see the field set, ready to roll off. And there they go. As they do, let's take a look at the starting grid for this opening feature race. On the pole for the first time in his career, in fact, the first time he started higher than 7th, Luca Filippi of Italy for Supernova. Next to Zandy Negrão, also his first front row start, the Brazilian driving for Minardi Piquet.
Row 2 Austrian Andreas Zuber now lives just down the road in Dubai in the iSport International car, and Lucas Di Grassi in the first of the ART Grand Prix cars.
On the next row, Bruno Senna of Brazil, nephew of the 3-time world champion Ayrton Senna. He's driving for the Arden International team this year, next to Japanese rookie Kohei Hirate for Trident.
In 7th spot, the second iSport car of Timo Glock, 4th in the championship last year, alongside Borja Garcia, who raced this series in '05 and second in last year's World Series Czech Renault.
On row 5, Japanese rookie Kazuki Nakajima with the Dams team. He is testing for the Williams Formula One team this year. Next to him, British driver Mike Conway for Supernova.
Row 6, Nicolas Lapierre in the Dams car, making his 40th GP2 start next to Antonio Pizzoni, a very experienced Formula 1 2 teams, 2006 Champ car and Formula 3000 in 01 and 02 in the FMS car.
More experience on the inside of row 7. Giorgio Pantano of Italy for the Campos team. That's a team switch for him this year. Next to South African Adrian Zaug for Arden International.
Surprisingly down the grid, the second ART car lines up 15th with Michael Amamura at the wheel, next to the Durango of Karan Chantok from India.
On row 9, Roldan Rodriguez of Spain, a rookie for Minardi Piquet, next to Japanese freshman Sakun Yamamoto, a racing driver in Formula One last year. He's with BCN Competition.
The Trident machine of Pastor Maldonado from Venezuela, third in World Series Renault last year, next to the second MFS car of the Turk, Jason Tahichi.
On row 11, Javier Villa of Spain for racing engineering, next to his teammate Brazilian Sergio Jimenez.
Row 12, Vitaly Petrov from Russia in the Campos, next to the Chinese driver Ho Pin Tung in the second BCN competition car, hoping to do better.
And teammates on the 13th and final row for Dave Price Racing, Spaniard Andy Soucek, and Danish driver, the first in the series, Christian Bakkerud. The field is now forming up. We'll take a quick break and be back for the start of the feature race. 120 miles with a mandatory pit stop, the opening weekend of the GP2 Championship here on Speed. Back to the GP2 feature race, opening day of the season in Bahrain. Giorgio Pantano and 3 other drivers with problems. The first attempt at starting the race has been aborted. You see the field coming around to take up its positions. The other drivers other than Pantano who stalled, Kohei Hirate of Japan, Javier Villa, and Sergio Jimenez. But now it appears the field is set. We expect the lights. A couple of drivers will start from the pit lane. Here they come. Two inexperienced drivers on the front row, pole sitter Filippi and Negrao. Zuber, the Austrian, launches from row 2 but can't get by the front row starters. Slow getaway for Filippi and the black and yellow Supernova, but he gets down there. Contact. Block going around the outside. Contact.
Oh, contact already. That's Piquet Jr., I think, isn't it?
That's
his team.
That's Andre Negrao. Got a big belt there. Be a miracle if that didn't bend something.
Oh, my. These are youngsters, mainly, and they will get after it.
There's Negrao having another go at somebody there.
Is that one of the FMS cars? They're usually in red and white colors. Meanwhile, Luca Filippi gets away from his first pole to establish the early lead. Now, this is the first of 2 races which we'll see on each GP2 weekend, with the exception of Monte Carlo.
Oh, another locker.
All of the cars are spec. All running the same Dallara chassis with an updated aero package this year. Same drivetrain, a 4-liter V8 Renault engine, making about 580 horsepower. The same slick Bridgestone tires. They are complete spec cars. It's all down to car setup and driver skill. Well, it looks like dragging body pieces there. That's one of the DPR cars that started toward the back of the field, either Soucek or Bakkerud. It's Bakkerud, the Danish driver. We got somebody off at the back.
Oh, I'm trying to come on again.
Whoa.
I said Piquet Jr. earlier on. I meant Minardi Piquet, the team I was talking about.
Jason Tahichi there.
A wild first lap. Someone having a look down the inside.
There's a lot of problems with the guys getting off the grid on the formation lap. 3 cars stalled with electronic problems. They had a lot of electronic problems and clutch problems last season, but I thought they got over that.
Got experience at the 4.
Oh, look at this. This could end in tears.
Nope, couldn't quite get there. There you see the order. Filippi, Glock, Zuber, all veterans. Then Bruno Senna, nephew of 3-time Formula One world champion, the late Ayrton Senna, up there in 4th. It's Roldan Rodriguez in one of the Minardi Piquet Sports. Piquet Sports last year merged to form the Minardi Piquet team this year. Last year was Nelson Piquet Jr., another son of a Formula One world champion, driving. He now, of course, is a test driver for the Renault team in Formula One. but his team will carry on.
On board with Luca Di Grassi there, currently running 5th is in the ART cars. Of course, the ART have won the championship the last 2 years. And of course, last year with Lewis Hamilton at the wheel.
The field has settled down a little bit.
Now let's have another look at the start.
See the holes in the grid from the cars that went to the back.
Wow. Miracle there. Everybody going for the same gaps.
Now,
Look at the blue and red car with the yellow front wing. That's Timo Glock, who will go around the outside. Looking for contact. That's all pretty clean there. One of the DPR cars going slowly, however.
on board with
Lots of
Suba.
wheel spin.
That's Negrao.
Oh! Degrassi gets pinched by Negrao. Watch for the left side. There goes Glock. Oh, more lockup.
Another lockup. Well, from Glock, and there will be down into that turn 1. That's the heaviest braking part of the track.
Yellow flags. You see them down in 1.
Now, what have we got yellow flag here for? Because we can't see out of there. Must be something outside the corner.
Giorgio Pantano apparently not able to overcome his mechanical problems on the attempted first start. He is shown as out of the race, along with Maldonado and Conway.
Well, we're on board with Pizzonia.
Very distinctive engine note for these 4-liter Renault V8s, channeled through a single 8-into-1 exhaust system. Very different engine note.
Pizzonia, of course, very experienced. That's Suchek there in the 21 car. Ooh.
Oh, contact. Just. Suba,
Turn 1
just a little contact between the noses.
Oh,
There's more contact there.
Glock and Negrao getting together.
Well, he went round the outside of turn 1, which left him on the inside of turn 2, but Negrao wasn't going to give him room, so they had a very hard coming together there.
On board with Pizzonia.
This is coming up to turn 3. Oh,
Ooh.
hey.
You see what happens when you get offline in this very, very sandy environment.
That was a pretty good idea of his to move off.
Yep,
Like that.
game
Oh,
Ah, that's Rodriguez. Roll down Rodriguez.
oh, he's dropping fluid and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
That's why they were locking up probably in turn 1, because he was laying down a lot of stuff there.
Yeah, and why the yellow flags waved down
Glock's
there.
car, I can't believe it's not deranged somewhat. He gave Negrao a hell of a belt there as they went through turn 2.
Now you see 33 lap schedule. We have 3 complete. The race was scheduled for 34, but due to the aborted first attempted start, that lap counts. We reduced the lap count by 1. Somebody else off and on. That's Pizzonia again. There's a guy who raced in Formula 1 for Williams and Jaguar, but he just hasn't been able to get more than a cup of coffee at the top level of open wheel racing.
Oh, it was awful. It was all over the place. I was really struggling to keep it under control. I was looking to see whether or not there was damage on the front wing, but it didn't seem to be damage from that onboard shot.
Oh, under attack here. Suchek into Hinchy. Oh,
Contact again.
Oh, Suchek is waving it to Hinchy.
Don't do that. Get your position sorted out.
Here comes Villa. Oh, Tahinchy is off, headed for the pits.
Into the pits.
Now there is a mandatory pit stop in this feature race scheduled for 120 miles. There is a sprint race that follows on Sunday. We got another mechanical on track.
Oh.
That's Vitaly Petrov, the Russian who had a couple of races last year, driving for Campos this year. Obviously, he's got big problems. Well, now he resumes.
Yeah, maybe he
lost a gear.
Yeah, I was going to say gear selection problem.
Philippi driving away. 120-mile feature race with a mandatory pit stop during which at least 2 tires must be changed. There's an interesting point system in GP2 racing as well. In today's feature race, it'll be scored like a Formula 1 race. 10, 8, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in points. Then the top 8 finishers in today's race will be inverted, and the rest of the field will start from their finish positions in today's race for the sprint race, which is just 75 miles, no mandatory stop, and it is scored 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So fewer runners will earn points in the sprint race. There's a bonus point for fastest lap, but a driver must start from his grid position in order to earn it. There's also 2 points for pole. Those have already been picked up by Luca Filippi.
Well, we've seen some frantic action in the opening laps, but this is typical of GP2, where you get these young novice drivers breaking into the feed of Formula for F1, and they're just learning their art as much as everybody else in the pit lane is learning their art, the mechanics and engineers, and they just need to calm down for a start.
And of course, everybody wants to be a hero and everybody wants to win, and they always want to win on the first lap.
Well, they run with the Formula One team, so they're all certain that the team managers are out there along the pit wall looking for the next great Grand Prix star.
Now, all of that waving out of the chassis and getting grumpy with each other is not what you want to be doing. Just run your race and then go and have a word with the guy afterwards if you feel the need.
And if you feel you have to, knock his teeth out then.
The order is Filippi, Glock, Zuber, Senna now in 4th. Then Degrassi, Lapierre, another one of the veterans. Zaug, Garcia, Ammermuller, and Negrau, the top 10.
Ammermuller has come up to 9th from 15th. Of course, he's in the ART car. We're expecting a lot of Michael Ammermuller this year. He won a race last year, but sort of seemed to fade a bit towards the end of the season. Timo Glock there, still in 2nd spot, but quite a train of cars behind him.
Double checking. I think we have a problem with timing and scoring. Lapierre is not in the top 10. Looking further down, I spot him in 11th, so unless he's having an out-of-body experience.
Zandy Negrau still running there. He got punted off by Timo Glock at that turn 2, but both cars, in spite of a pretty serious belt, seem to be going okay.
Well, look at the side of Negrau's car, the PK Minardi car. You'll see there's rubber contact all down on the left flank of the car, around the radiators, right there. See if I can highlight. Oh, God, I lost the shot too quick when we get to the demonstrator. Well, they have made some changes on the car from 2006 to 2007. Little aerodynamic changes. You'll notice they've got some Formula One-esque chimneys on the bodywork now for cooling the radiators. And little T-wings on the car too that they've also copied from Formula One.
Field beginning to string out a little bit. No changes up front. We'll take this opportunity for a quick break and return with more of the feature race from the opening weekend of the GP2 Championship here on Speed. Stay with us. Welcome back to the opening race of the GP2 Championship here on Speed from Bahrain International Circuit. Zaug and Garcia, the battle for 6th place. The race leader is Luca Filippi, who started from pole for the Supernova team.
And he got a good lead on Timo Glock, who of course started in 7th spot. Now he's up to 2nd after that pretty good move at turn 1. Not such a good move at turn 2, but he's now in 2nd spot, but there's a lot of cars lined up right behind him. There's the 3 car. That's Zandy Negrau, who got pushed off by Glock at turn 1. Oh, Negrau won't be too happy. He was on the front row, but now he's languishing down the field a bit, trying to make ground up again. That is Timo Glock's picture.
Bridgestone produces 3 different compounds and constructions, a soft, a medium, and a hard. This weekend, the selection by the Bridgestone engineers and the series, not the teams, is to use the hard construction, and they are on every car. So the series is all about driver skill.
Ammermuller has pitted from P8. But you're right, very evenly matched cars. The guys, the engineers, can make little changes to the car, setup changes, aerodynamic changes on the car, but fundamentally, as the car arrives from Dallara, that is what you're going to race.
Here's a look at the running order. No big changes. Michael Ammermuller was in 8th, but he's not there now, so he is making his mandatory pit stop. Alexander Zandy Negrau in 9th. This is for 8th place. Chandhok, Negrau, obviously suffering no particular damage from that earlier contact.
But he will be suffering from more damage if he's not careful. These 2 guys really duke it out. Karan Chandhok from India, a bit of an unknown at the moment. So Negrau, Negrau got around him. So now Negrau will pull away pretty rapidly, I would think. The Grau, of course, a man on a mission now, started on the front row, got punted off by Timo Glock, turn 2, lap 1. And now he's in hot pursuit.
There's your race leader.
Luca Filippi, the only one that got away unscathed. He started on the pole, managed to get to turn 1 well clear of everybody else, and of course has reaped the benefit of it.
He was desperate to do that, wouldn't he? He could see that melee coming behind him. I'm sure the engineers were telling him to be very watchful for what was going to happen behind.
Well, you know, with 26 cars trying to funnel into that turn 1, it's always a pretty hair-raising moment.
Yeah, race for 6 cars and half of the drivers novices.
Raced for 2 different teams last year, both FMS and BCN competition.
These guys do use carbon brakes, they're carbon distant pads on
Whoa.
the car. Oh!
That looks like a done blowed up job to me.
Racing engineering, there's the graphic, yeah. Whoa, whoa, whoa.
What was your first indication, Habbo?
Phew.
Kablamo!
End of the day for the youngest driver in the series.
A GP2 Kablamo.
It's 19-year-old Javier Villa.
Not quite as dramatic as the Honda Kablamo we saw yesterday.
No, that was the best Kablamo I've seen for a long time, that was.
Yellow is out.
Shrapnel going everywhere.
Just a local, however. There's another look.
Let's have another look.
Now that makes you wonder, in a spec series when everyone has the same engine, what was the difference in this case?
Good point, Bob.
Michael Ammermuller, new paint scheme for the ART Grand Prix team, which he's giving the fans in that corner a good look at as he goes off track.
Yeah.
Michael Ammermuller from Germany.
2-time defending champions, ART Grand Prix, took Nico Rosberg to the championship, and then Lewis Hamilton, owned in part by Nicolas Todt, a driver manager, son of Jean Todt, the president of Ferrari. And they added a new co-owner this weekend, the Crown Prince of Bahrain. So ART Grand Prix is not only the 2-time defending GP2 champions, they're also the home team here in Bahrain.
Do you mean Sheikh Salman bin Hamad Al Khalifa?
Precisely the gentleman I was thinking
I thought you were thinking of him.
I understand the British ASM team has also bought a piece of the action with ART Grand Prix. Everybody wants a part of being a winner. Adrian Zaug of South Africa makes his required pit stop from P6. That's him exiting again. Christian Bakkerud of Denmark. Who is, is that Villa's car off there? Now this is interesting. Bakkerud, Ho Pin Tung following him in the red car with the yellow mirrors. A Chinese driver, the very last driver confirmed for the series this year, and that was just days ago. He had never set foot in a GP2 car until practice opened, and just 30 minutes of practice before the drivers got 30 minutes of qualifying, and then he went off into his first race. So not doing a bad job as the Chinese driver.
Well, he's still running.
Well, he was the Formula BMW champion, and he actually has tested. He was the first Chinese driver to drive a Formula 1. He tested for Williams.
Well, he is Chinese by ancestry, but it all kind of ends there.
Yeah, right.
Born in Europe, claims Dutch nationality.
Very cosmopolitan chap.
But he does speak Chinese, and obviously he has been very popular as that dynamic economy comes online in motorsports in the biggest possible way. They have a Formula 1 Grand Prix now, A1GP visits there, a number of other series. China is a player.
Zuber into the pits and 2, 3 behind him. I think that's Senna behind, isn't it?
Zuber leading a parade.
Senna. Wow.
Luca Di Grassi pitting 3rd, 4th, and 5th place. Now they have to change at least 2 tires. Typically in the past they have changed just the rears, and we've always wondered about that. Zuber gets out first. Here comes Di Grassi. Now they'll go out the order they came in.
On board with Di Grassi, very sort of throwback 60s paint scheme on
I was
that car. Looks like
just
something you
thinking
drive,
that.
wouldn't it, David?
Yeah, exactly. He always liked a good stripe.
Yeah.
Now this is a very different pits than the Formula 1 cars use, and look at where they come back on track. Across the drag strip that makes up part of the front straightaway.
And they rejoin at turn 9.
Yellow's still out. Not sure if that's for Villa's engine.
Boy, they
breakup.
rejoin at a very far spot in the
They
track.
do.
The fastest curves in the track, turn 9 and 10.
Yeah, last year. Be careful, be careful.
Kohei Harati there will be obviously on warm tyres, having just completed a lap. Trident Racing team.
There's the team founded by driver Gian Maria Bruni, familiar to Formula One fans. He was unhappy with the teams he was with in the sport. Now, what is that?
Trying to get some heat into the tyres.
Is that Senna? Who is that?
Well, it is a
Yes.
very strange.
Interesting. Not sure what he thought he was
Trying
doing.
to put some temperature in his tyres,
I
maybe after that pit stop, but he'd already been through turn 10 or 11, and you'd have thought that would have put enough heat in.
Well, either that. I was just going to suggest maybe
Really
the
something wrong.
engineers,
Yeah.
just to check that the car's safe. But I mean, he was really leaning on it to check that the car's safe.
They probably said to him, "Did we put that right rear wheel on?" Right?
You know, can you just
check.
see what you think?
Yeah.
Just give it a yank.
Because we've got a wheel nut here, we're not sure where it's come from. But talking about this, the tyre changes, Bob, you were talking about it earlier on. It was odd that they were only changing the rear tyres because typically towards the closing stage of the races, there were so many drivers suffering from understeer as the front tyres were worn. They couldn't quite understand why they weren't changing all 4 tyres. But we'll see how it develops now, whether or not Bridgestone have come up with a better tyre. That's Glock.
Coming out of the pits, though, he made his stop. Obviously, when they did the tyre change, they had a quick check that the suspension wasn't deranged in any way. Obviously not. That's a new team. They're coming in next week.
Deranged International. Let's see. A number of cars have yet to make their pit stop, including race leader Luca Filippi. Glock is back out, so he has made his stop. Yamamoto, Bakarud, Tung, Petrov, and Negrao shown as having yet to pit.
Now see how they are under braking. These guys are running much bigger brake ducts on these cars than the Formula One guys are. Now it's also Supernova, new mechanics, of course, up and down the pit lane.
And that's a big part of the series as well, is training mechanics to move on to Grand Prix racing. Looks like a set of scuffs might be going on. No refueling.
No.
So his car will be lighter, and with new tires, he's in a good position now to make his bid for fast lap of the race and the bonus point that goes with it. You can't see anything from the pit lane. It takes a long time to rejoin. There's the end of the pit lane speed limit, way out there on the outrun. So he rejoins ahead of his closest rivals and, perhaps more importantly, with clear track.
Yeah, so he's got a good run on his opening lap.
So this is your first and second place runners, Bakarud and Tung, who both have yet to pit.
That's not a bad run for Bakarud and Tung. Bakarud was dead last, and hoping Tung was just in front of him.
Christian Bakarud of Denmark, first Danish driver in the GP2 series, but Danish drivers have done well in the predecessor feeder series to Formula One. That would be the International Formula 3000 Championship. Guys like John Nielsen, Tom Christensen of endurance sports car racing fame, Jason Watt, who was terrific in touring cars, and Nicholas Chiesa, who had a 15 minutes of fame in Formula One.
Yeah, Nicholas Chiesa, he's just dropped off the charts, isn't he, somewhat?
Okay, there goes Tung to the pits.
Tung. But this is a long feed into the pit lane, and as you just said, Bob, a long drive back out of it again. So these guys seemingly looking very good at the top of the field. And when they come in and have their stop, it's going to affect them enormously.
Love that paint scheme on the DPR cars. So Bakarud from the back gets a chance to lead in his fourth GP2 start. There is effectively a race leader, and there's Zuber turning in fast lap after his pit stop. Of course, no tire warmers in this series, so he had to get his tires up to temperature. You don't expect that golden lap the minute you come out of the pits. So Zuber took a couple of laps to get him up to speed. Glock, who was effectively in second place when the race leader pits, and then Zandy Negrao, who picked up about 3 spots on the pit stop rotation. He is behind Zuber. On board with Degrassi. Paddle shift gearbox like a Formula One car.
A bit of a toe there, but he needed it. He lost a lot of stops in that, a lot of space in that pit stop. Started 4th. This is not what ART Grand Prix team are used to.
Now listen to the downshift. How slow they sound in comparison to the F1 current boxes are.
It's Nicolas Lapierre just in front of him, the 23 car for Dams. I think that Degrassi looks quicker than him. This is all for 9 and 10.
Tahinchi at the front, kind of holding up the train here.
Yeah, the big temptation is to get around them all, of course, in one go, which very often does not work.
We know what happens then.
Yeah.
Ooh, slower traffic ahead. All right, just braking for the corner, I guess. That's Adrian Zaug.
So there you see them, Zubin, Negrao, Senna.
So once Bakarud and Petrov make their pit stops, and this is something else that I've never quite gotten my head around, the strategy of GP2. These guys who wait so late in the race to make their stop that their strategy is basically decided for them by the other cars. As soon as those two guys stop, Luca Filippi will reassume the lead. They may have fresher tires at the end, but the penalty they pay on time, particularly at this racetrack, as Steve and I have been discussing, just seems too great to me. I would think you'd want to get your stop in early. Well, they're racing and I am not. So I guess they have a plan. As you ride with Luca Degrassi. The last 4 GP2 races were all won lights to flag, despite the kind of action we've seen thus far in Bahrain. We'll see if Degrassi can pull it off and pick up maximum points on this opening day of the season.
But he's not making much ground. Pierre there in front of him. And there's Negrao and Bruno Senna. Negrao was on the front row. Bruno Senna qualified there on row 3.
We'll take another break and return with more of the opening race, the feature event, the first GP2 weekend of the year here on Speed. Welcome back to Bahrain as Zandy Negrao climbs out of his car after that great pit stop, picking up a number of positions on track. He has brought out a local yellow, and it looks like he has got it well and truly into the tire wall down there.
This is at the last corner.
Well, I tell you what,
That's
the
the
rear
rear
wing
wing
is off the car. You can see the rear wing element here, but look at the lines of the tires going in towards the wall here. It looks to me, and I may be wrong, but it looks to me like it's a wing failure.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like it. The wing came off as a result of the shunt. Well, he had that contact with Glock at the start of the race, but
Wow.
we're a long way into the race for that to have suddenly failed as a result of that.
Ooh. Yeah, I'd have thought so. So Amamula got around Nicolas Lapierre, setting off now into the sunset, hopefully for him.
Yeah, what are we going to watch?
Degrassi. Trying to get around Lapierre, waiting. Oh, the Frenchman fought him off.
Of course, that's Lucas Degrassi, not Michael Amamula, but he did get around Lapierre, and obviously, having got around him, seemed to be much quicker, pulling away quite substantially. Boy, these old cars, they fling themselves through that turn 10 and 11. This is all quick stuff, this. 9 and 10, rather.
And there was the accident. There's a look at the running order. Christian Bakarud has yet to make his stop. Hit rear first.
And then spun around, right?
Yeah.
It did snap around very quickly. Could have been that suspension gave up after that belt after turn 2, which was pretty strong, which obviously must be making Timo Glock people think too.
Zaug, Filippi, Degrassi.
He's now up to 7th.
Pierre behind him. Hammermuller, his teammate. You didn't need the graphic to tell you it's close.
Zaub, the South African driver in front of him. Ooh, locking up there. That's what Lucas de Gracia wants to see. Zaub won the inaugural A1 GP this year at Zandvoort this year. Ooh, yeah, he's losing ground. If de Gracia can get around him, I think he'd put away, but obviously easier said than done.
Yeah.
This series was actually the brainchild of Formula One boss Bernie Ecclestone and Flavio Briatore, who is the team principal at Renault. Another company he owns, Mechachrome, does the work on these Renault-based 4-liter V8 engines. This is the 3rd year for the series. They expect a new car with further refinements in the future. As for the old cars, I imagine they'll be grandfathered in, but the two principals in the series have also talked about a new Asian winter series to sell these cars off and get more of the drivers in the booming motorsports economy, both in the Middle East and the Far East.
Is that fluid coming out from underneath?
I think it is,
yeah.
yes. I think there's something spewing out the back of Zaug's car.
Oh, this
outside.
Well, no! You knew that was going to happen. You just knew that. He's sucking him right in. A bit like Lewis Hamilton with Felipe Massa
in Malaysia
last week. Yeah.
It's so easy to dive down for that corner, but you've got to drive back out of it again.
And it's very frustrating for de Gracia because he's obviously quicker than Adrian Zaug, and certainly quicker today.
It's Garcia in the Durango car. That's a famous old name from Formula 3000.
It's a pity that them and Minardi Piquet Sports have chosen to have exactly the same paint scheme.
Only for us. Phil Hill's son Derek Hill raced for the Durango team in Formula 3000.
Let's have another look at this move. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he?
Yeah, it's just dirty offline, and he just can't get it to turn.
He nearly had it.
Yeah. That's what it looked like from the cockpit. I got it, I got it, I got it.
Once you get out there, he's in all the marbles from the qualifying earlier on today. There was a lot of marbles I noticed when these guys were in their pace lap, so they hadn't swept them up. So by the time these guys add to the marbles themselves, there'll be lots of clag lying around out there.
Into the second half now, 15 laps to go.
He's still, that lens on our camera keeps getting covered in spots, so there must be fluid coming out of Zaug's car.
You can see how gray the skies are.
Yeah, maybe
there may be raindrops in the air. There were raindrops at the end of this morning's final Formula One practice. We didn't get any during Formula One qualifying, but we may be getting them now. Let's try again. Around the outside. Looks like it's not going to work this time either. Maybe duck under again. No, he can't get the grunt off the corner. Oh, he's going to force the issue.
He could get him down here now. Yeah, Zaug's not going to give him a room on the inside.
Zaug is aggressive on the defense. Look at him slide over. Woo! Gonna try it again, up and under.
Push.
That's it.
Got him, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Sort of, yeah.
That was a good bit of driving there by de Gracia. He realized that Zaug was making life very difficult for him, so he suckered Zaug into blocking. Of course, ultimately that blocking lets you down because you're in the wrong place at the wrong time. Now look at de Gracia pull away now. Now Zaug's going to hold up everybody else.
Yeah, Nicolas Lapierre will be next in line. Oh, Lapierre's got Hammermuller behind him.
Trying to get by Zach Garcia.
Almost had him in the cockpit with him. Garcia 9th. Followed by Hammermuller. Antonio Pizzonia, we expected more out of him. The same with Sakan Yamamoto. Both of those guys have been in Formula One. There's Philippi, started from pole, led to his pit stop, and has worked his way back to the lead. We'll take a break and return with more in the opening weekend of the GP2 season here on Speed. Welcome back to the opening feature race, the GP2 Championship from Bahrain. Here on Speed, I'm Bob Varsha with David Hobbs and Steve Matchett.
Adrian Zaug acting like a mobile chicane today. He held up Luca Di Grassi, who got around him and drove off.
That's your race leader, Luca Filippi. Christian Bakkerud of Denmark pitted while we were in break, so Filippi is now back on the lead. Then it's 3.5 seconds back to Timo Glock and his fellow iSport International driver Andreas Zuber. And Bruno Senna back in 11 seconds behind in 4th. Then Lucas Di Grassi, Adrian Zaug, who as David mentioned is holding up this queue. Look at this.
Lapierre, Borja Garcia, Amamula, and Karun Shandak, the Indian, who's putting in a pretty good first race for GP2.
Has some of the same sponsors from India as did his Formula One predecessor and countryman Narain Karthikeyan. Good to see companies getting behind their young drivers.
Oh, steady.
Oh. Mueller on Garcia. Can't quite get it done. 13 laps to go.
Amamula not doing what I thought he'd do this weekend. Qualified 15th. I mean, he's in the ART Grand Prix car team.
Yep.
They're obviously very, very good cars.
Zaug locked him up
Amamula
the last
himself
corner.
showed some definite turns of speed last year, but locking up big time there into turn 8.
Everybody's made their stops in the top 8.
But Zaug proving Adrian Zaug in the Arden car there at the front of this line, proving very difficult to get by.
Antonio Pizzonia.
Pizzonia, as you said, a disappointment down there in 11th spot. You'd expect more from him.
See, Bakkerud, half the life of me think what Bakkerud was doing, leaving it that long. The only explanation I can come up with is it a marketing exercise to be able to say to your potential sponsors, hey, we led the race for X amount of laps. But I mean, really, it's meaningless, isn't it?
26 starters, 7 cars now officially out, including some of the hitters. That'll be interesting to watch the top 8, because remember, for Sunday's sprint finale, and we'll have highlights of it for you later on, the top 8 are inverted. In other words, the 8th place finisher today will start from pole for Saturday's sprint race.
Go down the inside of Amamula. Decided discretion was the better part of valor there, which it obviously was.
Right now, Garcia holds the 8th spot. It would be he and Lapierre on the front row as things currently stand.
Well, that last shot, the skies are getting very grey. Not what you expect in Bahrain at all. Only get about half an inch of rain a year.
Well, they've had some huge rain actually going into the Grand Prix weekend. They've had big storms. So we may be in for a little bit more of that.
Oh, Zaug up there.
Well, we're getting into that part of the race. Well, just watching the laps tick down. This is the stage of the race, judging from last year's pace, where the understeer would come onto the cars big time.
Sadly, we have no timing and scoring, so we can't give you lap times.
They've made some aerodynamic changes packaged to the cars this year. I don't know whether that was to try and help that understeer or...
Maybe, Dave. Yeah,
well, when you don't change the fronts, you can use them up.
Yeah, and that's the team's choice, of course. They perfectly within their rights to change all.
Whoa! That's not understeer. No. That is definitely oversteer. Look good, though. That, of course, is what everybody's hoping that next year's Formula One cars are going to look like when they take away traction control.
That's
Personally, I don't think they're going to see much difference.
No difference whatsoever.
Philippe locking up. Whoa! Big lock up there, but he has a pretty substantial lead over Timo Glock.
That's in that turn 8-9 complex. A wide radius turn going in, which just invites a very, very quick entry. But then you have to get woed up in a hurry because the second turn is much, much tighter. Zaug, Lapierre, Garcia, Ammermuller, Chandok.
Everybody here is frustrated, just trying so hard to get around Adrian Zaug. Oh! Ammermuller went wide there.
You're just saying trying hard, trying a little bit too hard in Ammermuller's case.
Oh boy, if Ammermuller slips up there, Chandok will get in front of him, and then he'll prove it. No, he didn't. He managed to hang on to the position.
A lot of brake dust being thrown out of these cars now. Red discs, well, you see it there. As I was saying earlier on, they have got carbon pads and discs and very big ducts on the cars. Dimension-wise, they are, I would say, almost identical. Very similar to Formula One dimensions to a couple of mil.
Now, if I'm Ammermuller running in 9th place, what I'm thinking about most of all is getting by Garcia ahead of me, because that's pole position. And time after time in the previous 2 seasons of GP2 here on Speed, we have seen the sprint race won flag to flag by the pole sitter, who was the 8th place finisher the day before. That's how important it is to start up front. We'll be back. Welcome back. 10 laps remaining in the opening round of the GP2 Championship here on Speed. From Bahrain International Circuit, increasingly gray. Rain may be coming, but just 10 laps to go. This is the best battle on the track. Adrian Zaug of South Africa in 6th, with a train including Nicolas Lapierre, Borja Garcia, Michael Ammermuller, Chandok, Pizzonia not able to make up much ground from 11th. He's about 9 seconds
lock
behind.
it up again there. Boy, he's done that a lot of times. His old tires must be getting very square at the front.
Well, I'll tell you what, they're locking up, but there's nowhere near the same amount of understeer this year than last year at this stage, is there?
This is deeper in the pack. Kaz Nakajima. Sergio Jimenez gets by him. Vasily Petrov is there. Hoping Tung, the Chinese driver. Bakarud made his pit stop while leading. He is currently 18th. Fairly pokey pit stop, I'm guessing.
It must have been a pokey pit stop, so he shouldn't have dropped from first to almost last.
Who's that who hasn't made their stop yet? That must be Nakajima. Unless they're going to come in, someone making a bid for the bonus point for fast lap. There is one in both the feature and the sprint race. So somebody may be coming in for fresh rubber just to take a run at it, try to salvage something, knowing they're not going to finish in the top 8 places. That's Petrov going by Nakajima.
Well, that was a pretty good move. I mean, he hung in there, but Nakajima actually did sort of let him go, really. Zaug, oh, here we go. No, yes, no, yes. Whoa!
That was not well done.
Zaug is not.
Wow.
Has lots of less.
Well, if they were F1 cars, both of those guys would be out of the race.
Oh,
no doubt.
A lot of guys getting impatient.
The suspension would never have survived that.
Lapierre probably wants to get out the tire iron on Zaug right about now.
Yeah.
Let's
That was
see
pretty
how much.
unclassy, that.
See how hard I can hit him in the gearbox.
There comes a point when you have to accept the inevitable.
Garcia
Zaug did not do that.
Interesting line from Garcia on the blue and white car. 9 laps to go. Time to make a play, gentlemen. Gaps up front, just under 4 seconds. Philippi to Glock. Another 4 seconds. Glock to Zuber. 4.5 to Senna. 6.5 to Degrassi. Then another 4 back to Zaug. And this collection. Michael Ammermuller.
Let's have another look.
Zaug leaves the door open, then turns in.
Dude.
Oh boy, oh boy.
That was fairly classless.
It was. I mean,
well, his entry was so wide, he might not have been able to see him in his mirrors, but he had to know they were back there.
shutting the door after the horse is bolted like that is just not on.
But the suspension took it.
Yeah.
Not even a kink from what I could see on that picture.
But of course, Adrian Zaug very desperate to finish this race in this position, because that'll put him near the front in tomorrow's sprint race.
This could be a very big win for Luca Filippi. We said at the top of the show he had never started higher than 7th in qualifying. And here he was right on pole. And he has dominated the race. And that may provide a little bit of redemption for the Italian. He was driving in the European 3000 Championship for Formula One star Giancarlo Fisichella's team. He was fired from the team for lack of results. Now here he is in GP2 in his 2nd season, running right up front and about to win for the first time.
Proving his worth, his true worth.
Okay, here comes Lapierre again.
Yeah, the most experienced driver in this GP2, if I'm not mistaken. This is his 40th start. Oh, Zaug locking up big time again there.
Actually, Zandy Negrão is the most experienced driver. To this point, he has taken part in every test and every race in series history. One of 3 drivers now in their 3rd season of GP2. That's not technically the way the series is supposed to work.
No.
You're supposed to present yourself and move on as your talent will allow.
On board with Pizzonia here.
This is the FMS car. The F stands for Fisichella. Petrol Ofisi is the national oil company in Turkey.
And there's Lapierre having another go.
Let's try him on the outside.
Well, he keeps trying
Fake him up the inside. He's out driving his mirrors. He may not be able to stop, but he can certainly get off the corner.
If these two end up in a pile in front of that other lot, the whole lot could end up in one huge smoking heap of...
Once again, these are important positions. Zaug is 6th, Lapierre 7th, Garcia 8th. That would mean Lapierre and Garcia start on the front row for tomorrow's sprint race.
Well, they just got to keep pressuring Zaug into making a mistake. He's done a lot of locking up. His tires must be pretty square by now, but still hanging on in front of Lapierre. Lapierre obviously getting a bit desperate now. Just 7 laps to go. This is at turn 8. Cars obviously very evenly matched. These are a spec car. The engines are all the same. The chassis are all the same. The tires are all the same. You're allowed to do some adjusting, but not a lot.
Is he setting this up for turn 1?
Well, he needs to be right up his chuff, doesn't he, going down into turn 1. That's for dead sure. I think this is Pizzonia again. Oh!
Oh, that was slick.
Well, that was a good view of the pass, that's for sure.
Was that Yamamoto?
Here we are, back to Zaug. Lapierre, this is down to the last turn. Now, Lapierre needs to be right behind them as they come out of here. Oh, he needs to be closer than that through that last turn. Boy, it is getting cloudy now. Almost misty.
Hazy, isn't it? Yeah, really hazy.
I
don't think he's close
I think
enough
he's too
for
far
this.
back now.
An amazing country, Bahrain, 95% desert. The entire country about the size of New York City, and 1/3 of its population comes from elsewhere in the world. We'll be back to Bahrain in a moment. Welcome back to Bahrain International. The battle continues. 6th place, Adrian Zaug leading Nicolas Lapierre, Borja Garcia, Michael Ammermuller. Things have stretched out just a little bit. There's a look at the current holder of fastest lap, Kazuki Nakajima, in the Dems car. And that was just moments ago. He will pick up the bonus point if he can stay on it. Also moments ago, Karun Chandok, excuse me, got by Michael Ammermuller. There they are at the back, wheel to wheel. Nicely done. Ammermuller not having the race we expected out of him.
Yeah, Ammermuller's really struggling in this race, isn't he? This is not the drive we expected from Ammermuller. Of course, he may have something wrong with the car.
Right. Luca Filippi remains the race leader, easily over Timo Glock, Andreas Zuber, and Bruno Senna. Then Luca de Grassi, then Zaug, Lapierre, Garcia, Chandok, which you've been watching, Ammermuller.
Ammermuller dropping back there, so obviously Ammermuller.
As is Antonio Pizzonia behind him.
Ammermuller's car, may have gotten deranged at some stage.
This is Andy Suchek and Sakon Yamamoto. It's for 11th place. Andy Suchek. Doesn't sound like a Spanish name, does it? But that's the nationality he claims.
Well, of course, Andy Suchek only got around Yamamoto when Yamamoto slid off the road a lap or two ago, so I'm sure that Yamamoto looks quicker.
Yeah, he wants it back, doesn't he?
He does.
Some of that marbling you talked about. What have we here? Oh, Pizzonia. Look at the carbon dust from his brakes
he's
flying
been having
around.
trouble too.
Just had to have fronts. I guess he's going to try for a fast lap in these last 3. He may have left it a little late.
I don't think the car's got in it. There's something wrong with that car, I'm sure.
Yamamoto nowhere near close enough. This is Soucek. Oh,
A lot of tyre, as you say, David, clag built up on the front wing, on the flaps of the front wing.
what's up with Michael Ammermuller here? Suddenly he's all by himself.
The bodywork. There's bodywork's damaged there.
Ah, yes.
The flick up around the left rear tyre is damaged.
This
A little piece come off there or something as well.
I was going to say maybe that's how it happened. Yeah, that'll do it.
That would be exactly how.
That will do
Kazuki
it.
Nakajima, like stuffing a Bridgestone up against that flick up to rearrange it.
The suspension may be able to take a bit of a knock, but carbon fibre will not take it.
Looks like he's kind of crab walking there. I wonder if he hasn't got a bent suspension.
Yeah, could have.
2 laps to go. Borja Garcia in 8th, in position to start from pole in tomorrow's sprint race. Soucek and Yamamoto.
I never expected to see this amount of rubber peeling off the tyres. I mean, maybe this is their answer to stopping the cars understeer, that they've made them incredibly soft compound tyres.
And this is the hard compound.
Yeah.
Imagine what we're going to have in a place where you need it super soft, like Monaco. Yamamoto takes a look up the inside. We remember him from his brief run with Aguri Honda in Formula One last year.
Chandok's had a good run. Up there to 9th. Started down in 16th spot.
Yep.
Pizzonia not having a good run. Down in 17th.
You see the cars out of the race, including Giorgio Pantano. We lost 4 on the first attempt to start the race. Not sure what happened, but we have had clutch problems in the past with these cars.
I thought they'd cured that, but
sometimes in the rush to get parts and pieces to the teams in a spec series like this, quality control isn't what it might have been.
Woo! Petrov there.
Ooh.
Getting a bit of a wig on. Yeah.
Yamamoto almost tried it.
I think that's why Yamamoto is pretty keen to get by Soucek, is because he knows that Petrov's coming up behind him.
Petrov had a cup of coffee with the series last year, qualified at the back, raced forward, never quite got the good results, the real solid performances, but not a bad debut. Go for DPR, Dave Price Racing last year. The Campos team this year, hopefully with the funding to try a whole year. Here's Nakajima, who just added fresh tires, and there he is, totally wasting them out there in no man's land. You won't get quick lap that way. He's a lap down. He's not a part of this battle. I think he's waving at the flagman or taking a tear off his visor, one or the other. Oh, what we got going on here? Yamamoto going to try it again? Nope.
Trying to get around Soucek.
well, he knows it's now or never.
Behind that is the Bakarut and Petrov also having a dice. You got 1 to go, gentlemen. 2 pair, 3 pair. Who's that coming up behind? That's Ho Pin Tung and Sergio Jimenez. There goes Yamamoto. Here it comes.
Now, as he pulled
Petrov.
it off.
Or Bakarut, I should say. Bakarut passes Petrov. Yamamoto gets Soucek.
He's done it.
And behind, Ho Pin Tung.
And they all made it stick. Miracle.
Tung kept...
Who's this?
That's not Philippi, is it?
I hope it's not a Supernova car. Absolutely, that would be Philippi. Here comes Philippi. That's Jimenez pulling over. I think it's a blue car. Luca Philippi, from his first pole, has absolutely dominated, and he will take the first checkered flag of the GP2 season, winning the feature race here at Bahrain.
A big lead for GP2. 6 seconds in front of Timo Glock from 7th.
Andreas Zuber will finish 3rd. That's where he started, and then Bruno Senna will come across in 4th. A nice debut for the Brazilian nephew of Ayrton Senna.
Then Luca Di Grassi, who had a pretty good race. Then Zaug. Here, Lapierre having one last attempt.
That's right, it's not over yet. A drag race to the line. Nope. Zaug will get it. That's 6, 7, 8, and 9. Zaug, Lapierre, Garcia, and Chandok. Then Michael Ammermuller And then the guys we were just watching dice on the beginning of the last lap. Suchek, Yamamoto, Petrov, Bakaru, Tung, and Jimenez. We'll take a break and return with more from Bahrain. Welcome back. There is your winner, Luca Filippi, a dominator from pole to take the opening feature race of the GP2 Championship for 2007 here on Speed. He'll be joined on the left of your screen by runner-up Timo Glock and by Andreas Zuber. Time for the anthems. Nice to see a happy winner singing along with his anthem.
Absolutely.
And you notice the flag above Andreas Zuber, who has Austrian citizenship. His super license is issued through the United Arab Emirates, and that's the flag that waves over his podium spot.
Doesn't want his knee pads on the photograph.
They're probably getting a little tight. As you can see, he and Zuber are both quite tall. Not so Timo Glock, who bears a strong facial resemblance to the actor Ben Kingsley.
He does, doesn't he? Yeah. Yeah. And Zuber there.
Of course, this being a Muslim country, there will be no alcoholic champagne sprayed from the podium. They will use a local carbonated fruit concoction known as ward. A soft drink, if you will.
The sort of drink that if you took a sip, you'd say, what is that?
Makes a good mixer, but not in Bahrain. Of course, it's only a short walk to the next country. In fact, you can almost walk there through the Gulf of Bahrain. You have to get about a mile out before the water gets higher than your knees. Congratulations to our winner. We'll be back with highlights of the sprint race in a moment. Welcome back to the opening weekend of the GP2 Championship here on Speed from Bahrain. Bob Varsha, David Hobbs, and Steve Matchett. Luca Filippi just won the feature event. Here's a look at the final results.
Timo Glock coming at FM6 on the grid. Zuber having a pretty good run. Bruno Senna looking quite good in the Arden car. Then Luca de Grassi in the ART. They thought they would do better than that. I'm sure Adrian Zaga in the second Arden car, then Dams in the two Durango cars. Borja Garcia and Karan Shandok from India, a rookie.
So from 10 down to 18, Michael Ammermuller. I think we all expected better things from him in that opening race for ART. Hoping Tung there 15th.
And of course, Giorgio Pantano, the Formula One driver, down there second from the end.
And now it's time for a look at the highlights of this morning's 75-mile sprint finale. Borja Garcia on pole, Nicolas Lapierre alongside as they invert the top 8 from the finish of the feature event. A lot of dust in the air as they get down to turn 1, time to hit the brakes.
And Andrea Zuber, unfortunately, did hit them quite hard enough, ran into the back of Luca de Grassi, Bruno Senna, and Andrew Zog, causing a right old shimozzle down there at turn 1. There they go around. Just look how nearly Lapierre is tagged. Just getting away from that onboard now with Zuber. Boom. One down. Oh, that ripped the old wheel off, so that's his day.
Now, this was controversial. You'll see SC safety car out. Lapierre passes Borja Garcia for the lead, and it's stuck.
Following the restart, Ammermuller and Zhao side by side, but look at this shunt from the BCN car of Hoping Tung, pushed by Nakajima. A lot of damage. Let's have another look at that car. Into the wall, rear wing off, a lot of damage to the gearbox and bodywork of the car. Hopefully the driver's okay, and yes, he is. Hoping Tung climbs out uninjured. That brings out the safety car for a second time.
Giving our Formula One stars a chance to really redeem themselves here. Antonio Pizzoni runs into the back of Giorgio Pantano, mounting him there like some mad bull on the rampage. Then Karan Shanduk from India and Zhao collide. That's the 27 car of Shanduk there.
Zhao dives into the pits with the Arden car. The mechanics put Tessa tape on the bodywork to keep it in the race. It finished 17th.
While it was green, Timo Glock passed Luca Filippi, the feature race winner, for second place. And how about this? Teammates Pastor Maldonado and Kohei Hirate collide. It was all just too much for the Japanese driver to take.
And here you see 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. That's Garcia, Filippi, Amamula and Nakajima. Then just a few moments after that, Nakajima does a great up and under pass for Amamula, taking away that final 6th point.
And up front, wiggling with joy at the checkered flag, Nicolas Lapierre of France takes his first career GP2 win in his 41st start. Here are the results.
Well, there you see them, Lapierre winning, Timo Glock, Luca Filippi, Garcia, Conway and Nakajima getting the final point today. Michael Amamula in the ART car doing a bit better than yesterday, but still not great for ART.
Some of the next runners from 10 down to 18th. Pastor Maldonado in the Trident car. Zaug, who repaired the car, finishing 17th. He was the guy with the Tessa tape on.
And 18th was Pantano and Karan Shanduk, and Prizzonia down in 23rd.
With the first 2 races in the books, here's how the Drivers' Championship stands.
Well, Filippi just grabbing onto the lead there with 16 points over Glock's 14. Then Lapierre with 8 with that win. Andrea Zuba 6, Senna 5, so he's starting off quite well in the Arden car. Garcia, De Grassi, Zhao, Conway, Formula 3 driver from England.
So into the team points. iSport International leading so far, 20 points on the board already. Supernova International 18th the second, and the Dams team in 3rd spot with 10 right down the bottom. ART Grand Prix 5th place with 4th, and Durango with 4 on the board in 6th spot.
And with that, the first round of the 2007 GP2 Championship season comes to a close. It was crazy in Bahrain, and it will be so at the next round. So don't forget to join us in May when GP2 returns to Europe for the Spanish round of the championship. But for now, don't move a muscle. Coming up next, live speed coverage of the Formula One Grand Prix of Bahrain. For David Hobbs, Steve Matchett, I'm Bob Barsha. Keep it right here. The Grand Prix of Bahrain, here on Speed, starts right now.